We have Grandmaster Gukesh Domaraju, the current reigning world champion, entering in with his team, the PBG Alaskan Knights, at the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League in Royal Opera House, Mumbai. Taking him on is the five-time world champion, the legend Vishwanathan Anand, who is entering in his yellow jersey with his team, the Ganges Grandmasters. And this promises to be a very exciting clash. You can see there Gukesh entering into the stage with his team, and let's hear the introductions from the presenter there, Arohi, who's there, and just listen to how many people have turned up and are applauding the players.
And now the players, 5 times World Chess Champion Vishwanathan Anand!
Well, after the introductions have been done, it's time for the games to begin. And the players now will take their seat here. Vishy versus Gukesh, the handshake. What a clash this promises to be. The first time they played each other at the Global Chess League, it was Anand who emerged victorious. And now, will Gukesh strike back here with the white pieces? We have the guest of honor there, Vansh, who's going to make the first move on the board. And he plays 1 e4. Will that be Gukesh's choice against Vishy? We'll see there. But Gukesh will definitely be wanting to strike here. He also has had 2 wins in the last 3 games. He beat Alireza Firouzja, he beat Fabiano Caruana, and he also was winning against Hikaru Nakamura. Meanwhile, Vishy Anand has been rock solid on his board. It has been extremely difficult to beat him here, and he's shown that he still got it here by drawing against Hikaru, MVL, Caruana, and now taking on Gukesh. Everything set here as Gukesh makes the final adjustments there, and Vishy looking as calm as ever. Gukesh has been helped in his journey of chess by Vishy Anand, especially when the Westbridge Anand Chess Academy began. Gukesh was helped immensely, and also one must remember that Gukesh's trainer now, Gregors Gaevsky, was the trainer of Vishy Anand at some point. So that's also a great connection. Well, a handshake and we are ready to go. Gukesh opens the game with pawn to d4. We have d5 on the board and c3. This is the same move that Gukesh played against Yazkan Erdogmus at the FIDE Grand Swiss. Vishy brings his knight out to f6. Bishop g5. Now, if you want to punish this, there are moves like knight e4, maybe even h6, maybe c5. But he goes e6. Vishy is like, I'm not going to challenge what Gukesh is doing. I have my setup here. I'm going to get my bishop to e7. I'm going to castle here. And that's what I'll do. Knight to d2 played. Now the knight comes into d2, controlling the e4 square. The bishop moves to e7, breaking the pin. And now e3. Is Gukesh going to go for the stone wall setup with f4 and knight f3? Let's see. Knight comes to d7 here. And Anand, knight gf3 by Gukesh. He doesn't play f4. He prefers to bring his knight out. This is actually a very well-known opening now. This is the Torre attack, they call it, with the bishop on g5. The bishop comes to d3, looking in this direction, and b6 by Anand. He wants to quickly put his bishop on b7 and then play knight e4, and Gukesh castles here. Vishy goes bishop to b7, and perhaps it's now time to play knight to e5. That seems like the best move here. Yes, he plays it, knight to e5. And I believe we are following a very famous game between Spassky and Petrosian from their world championship match. D takes e5, attacks the knight, knight d7 played, And now in that game, bishop f4 was played, which was perhaps not a great move. Gukesh chops on e7, which is the best decision. Queen takes e7 and now plays his pawn to e4, f4 to bolster the center. Black castles here. And now queen to h5, threatening mate in one on h7. Pawn comes up to g6. The queen drops back to h3. And at this point, white is surely doing quite well. Now f6, maybe knight f3 is a good idea, because if you take, I take back, and there is a clamp on the position, but Gukesh takes. He takes on f6, allowing Vishy to play rook takes f6. Although now there is bishop b5 attacking the knight and then clamping down on the dark squares. No, Gukesh misses that moment. He plays the move knight f3 and now e5 is coming in. It was a small positional moment there that we had. e5 by Anand. He doesn't miss his chance. Bishop b5. He wants a good knight versus bad bishop scenario, but Vishy is like, now my rook can protect the bishop. I can break it with bishop c6. Takes. Rook takes on c6. And the position is roundabout even. Rook a d1 attacking the d5 pawn. It's a good move. And Vishy goes e4. The knight jumps into g5. You can see the pressure on d5 mounting. Rook to d6. And queen g3 played with the idea of f5 now, because the knight is protected and an eye on the rook. h6. Vishy kicks the knight away. And this is getting very exciting now. He brings back his knight to h3 and the king quickly goes to h7. Now any ideas of f5 will be met with g5. So knight to f2, and the plan is to go to g4, e5, f6 and try to attack there. The knight comes in, and now if you come with your knight, Vishy will just trade it. So the position is equal here, but Gukesh now once again switches his queen one square to the right. He's looking in this direction, but more importantly, I think he wants to play g4, g5. Vishy centralizes his final piece. And you know what, guys? g4 looks tempting, but it feels wrong. Black is so central. Oh, he goes g4. And Vishy is like, Gukesh, that doesn't feel right. I'm going to meet the flank attack with a break in the center. He pushes d4. A very powerful move here in the center. And Gukesh now goes g5. Attacking here. Knight h5, blocking the h file. And now he takes on d4. Pawn takes d4. And now the knight can jump to g4. Yes, he jumps in. He's creating this mess on the board. If here there is f5 here as well, maybe. He takes on e3. And now Gukesh can take on d6. But Gukesh is all about creating a mess right now. Rook e1. He's attacking the e3 pawn. Whoa, the game is getting very intense. Edge g5, once again the best move. But it's too tense, too stressful. And Vishy goes in rook d3. He's like, let me play the most logical and good looking moves in the position. Rook to d3. And Gukesh is to some extent succeeding in his mission of complicating the game. Knight to e3. He takes it. And now later on he can take on h6. He's looking for the ideas to push f5. So rook comes to f8, attacking the f4 pawn, and king h1 played very quickly by Gukesh. Now knight takes f4. This is a very risky decision here by Anand, allowing to take queen takes h6, king g8. The knight defends the pawn, and rook takes f4 doesn't really work because queen can block. So he goes knight g4 here, or what? There's also other possibilities. Rook c1 trying to enter in somehow through the queen side. And he plays it. Knight g4 on the board, threatening knight f6 check. And Gukesh gets up from the board. He's looking at the other boards. He's thinking like, do I need to win here? What's happening? And Vishy is definitely under big pressure here. On the other boards, the PBG Alaskan Knights are doing well in this match. You can see that there are threats of playing e3 check and mating. Rook takes f4. Boom, taken. And now very important to take here, but Vishy makes an intermezzo with e3 check. And that's not a good idea because now check and the rook is hanging. But the knight is also hanging. Oh my goodness. So many things are happening here. What is Gukesh going to do next is the big question. He's trying to calculate. Queen takes g6, queen g7, take on d3, rook is hanging. Oh no, there's one move. There is knight h6, queen g6, king f6, knight f6, takes king h8. And all these lines have to be calculated with just 2 minutes 25 seconds on the clock. And Gukesh is moving there. He takes the pawn. Check. And now for Vishy. If he goes king f8, there is knight f6. If king h8, there is queen e8, check, queen e5 and taking here. So he goes queen g7, blocking. But knight h6 check. This is an important move here. And Gukesh is getting excited. He's getting tremendously excited. He's looking at the other boards. And he plays it. Knight to h6 check. King has to go to h8. And now, don't take the rook. It's the most tempting move. No, he takes it. Queen h5 was better. And now, he has to lose his knight. So takes here. And there was such a big opportunity. We'll analyze it deeper after the game. But for now, it's all even. Once again, only a small edge for Gukesh. And Gukesh goes for a check. And what do you do now? Queen f8. He's trading the queens. And Vishy sees that after takes. If you take now on e3, he has rook f2. And that would be very active. So Gukesh now plays this very nice move, rook e2, with the idea of king g2 and then taking here. Very interesting. Rook check, king g2. And we're going into this endgame now, rook a1. He pushes his pawn to a3. And Vishy goes king g7. Rook takes e3. No, he goes up with his king first. This is now better for Gukesh. Take it with the rook. No, he takes it with the king. That's not the best move. And Gukesh, looking at the scorecard, realizes that his team has won if he draws this game. That's all that he needs. And I think that gives him a lot of comfort. Takes here, rook a4. Good move by Vishy. The position is now a draw. He goes king d3, rook takes b4, king c3, and now a5 or rook h4 are good moves. These are the best moves, but Vishy, what is he going to do next? Remember, if the rook cuts off the king, it won't be good. Oh, he goes passive. He goes passive behind, and rook f2 is a winning move, cutting the black king off. Gukesh finds it. Amazing. a5 and now rook f5. No, he goes b3, trying to stop the pawn from coming up ahead. Vishy moves his rook forward. And now very important to go rook f4. He plays it as well. Amazing chess here by Gukesh Domaraju. He's going to play h4 next, stopping the black king from coming. And now king b2, king a3. Notice how the rook stops the black pawn from advancing. And Vishy's lost here. Because if the king comes here, he's going to win the a5 pawn somehow. He'll give up his h4 pawn and the b pawn will queen. He goes rook c5 check. And now king comes back to b2. And Anand is losing here. He plays rook e5, king a3. Gukesh is moving forward. He goes back from the back side. If king a4, there is a check to save the pawn. So rook a4 played. He comes back. Rook check. Gukesh knows that he's going to win this. Rook g5 is coming up next. King f6, rook to g5. He moves his rook up, but now rook takes pawn is winning. He takes it. Rook takes, and now rook a4 followed by rook e4 cut off. No, he misses it. He plays, but king e6 is a bad move. Rook h8 was needed. Now again Gukesh is winning. Rook d8. He's got his rook on the right square. Rook h7 and now b4. Very important move. No, he plays king a4, a mistake, and once again Vishy is back. Check. King here, check. And the pawn is just too far behind. Here, and a draw is agreed. Whoa! What a game! Look at Anand's expression there. And look at the crowd. Erupting in applause here. Vishy and Gukesh have played an absolutely incredible game, giving the best of the times to the spectators, and look at the smile on the face of Gukesh and Vishy there after that game. They've played an absolutely stunning encounter and they're discussing Rook endgame, checkmate, attack, defense, counter attack, openings, you name it, the game had it. Everything. The absolute classic that you could witness here in all forms. Such an instructive game, such an amazing game that was. I think this will go down as one of the games from which someone can learn so many different things between Gukesh and Anand. And what I love about this game is that after it's over, the way in which Gukesh spends time to discuss with Vishy. Vishy's team has lost, Gukesh's team has won, but they don't care. It's as if they both are in a trance with each other discussing the game, and the arbiter comes in and has to announce the results as the players get up. Gukesh goes to his team happily. Vishy Anand also has to go back to his team, and so he also goes there, and Arjun is like, why didn't you play this move? Well, Ajju bhai, he's the guy who beat Vincent Keimer to help his team get those crucial points.
So, we have a result for this evening's match by a score of 9 points to 7. The winners tonight were PBG Alaska Knights. Ready to shake hands.
And now the players shake hands with each other, the customary handshake here, so that, to show the sportsman spirit. It's absolutely amazing. And Gukesh, look at him. He goes back to the board and arranges his pieces. It's I think there's not a single game when he hasn't done that. He was called to the front stage, so he had to stop doing that, but then before leaving, he just sets it up. What a guy he is, and just very, very cool to see that. And once they get outside, so many people are waiting for them. The team PBG Alaskan Knights, so happy are their team members and their owners of the team. Well played everywhere. And Gukesh comes in, and Gukesh is like, to all the crowds who are waiting, I'm coming. And Vishy also makes this beautiful gesture of waiting there to give autographs to the crowd who's waiting for them. Arjun also decides this is the most beautiful moment. You have 5-time world champion, current world champion, and India #1 all giving autographs. And Vishy, I think, telling Gukesh, I can show you how my sign is being done. You can do it. Well, for 3 decades, Vishy has done this single-handedly for the chess world of India, and now there are players for whom, all the people wait for, and Vishy so beautifully, graciously did a few signatures and then went, and now Gukesh and Arjun take over. It's also a very cool moment there. After the game, we managed to interview Gukesh. By the way, there's the Chesspa meets Gookie book in the crowd there, and Vishy's there. Oh, Vishy comes back. He's also signing few of the boards. Beautiful, and you can see the smile on the face of those young kids. And this is a beautiful atmosphere at the Royal Opera House in Mumbai, where the crowds get to interact with the players, and hopefully you can also be.
I'm joined by world champion Gukesh ji. Gukesh, tell us something about your game today.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game. Complicated from the start, but in the end game it was winning for me. And yeah, in the time scramble, I missed one chance towards the very end.
Till now, how is your tournament going? Are you enjoying the experience at Mumbai?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the tournament.
Tell, tell us something more about the team communication and coordination.
Yeah, like all the team members, not only the players but the manager, the sponsor, everybody has been very supportive and nice, and we are having a great time together as a team.
Thank you so much, Gukesh.
We joined the game at this moment where Vishy played his queen to b7. Gukesh sacked here, and now taking here would have been best. But Vishy played this move e3, opening up the check, and now was losing. But the win was pretty complicated. After queen g7 check, king h8, it was so difficult to find the move queen h5. Now there are a few things happening. One of them is that g6 is coming in, followed by knight f7, which is actually very powerful. So let's say, for example, I make a move like rook d8, just for the sake of this, then knight f7 and I win the rook. Okay, rook f8, for example. Now g6. And at this moment, the threat is knight f7, but also knight f5, winning the queen, and you can no longer block here on h7. In the game, when Gukesh had this position, he had 1 minute 23 seconds, and it was very natural to pick up this rook, which he did. But queen h5 would have been very useful. So takes, and here after this we reach this endgame, and here are some of the critical moments in this endgame where the thing shifted rapidly. Now Gukesh was winning, he found the first right move, and then he also found this nice idea to stop a4 so that king can now reroute from here. So rook e5, king a3, rook e1, and now at this moment takes, rook takes, and at this point rook a4 would have been a killing move, because if you take, king a4 is winning, and if you move your rook, let's say rook h8, I just play rook e4, and now you have a 3 file cutoff from this pawn for the black king, and this is winning. Just to give you an idea of how this works, let's say for example I give you a check, I go back, king b2, and now if you go rook b, let's say king f5, I go rook e1, and you think now the pawn won't advance, king c3, check, king here, check, king here, check, king here, and now when you go here, I have this move first, rook f1 check, pushing the king away, and then rook b1, and then b4, and this pawn starts to advance. So this was a bit tricky, but okay, Gukesh went rook d5. Now king e6 was most natural to bring the king closer, but rook h8 taking the far side would have been much better. Let's say b4 here, king e6, rook d1, rook a8 check, king b3, rook b8, and it is a draw. This is a well-known draw, but king e6 played, attacking the rook. Now rook d8, rook h7, this is the best move by Gukesh. And now if he had found b4, this was winning, because now the thing is, if the pawn ever crosses the half rank mark, it's winning. Check here, king b3, and now b5 is coming, so you go rook b7, I go king c4, and now king b5, and just the rook cannot give another check here, and the pawn advances, and black loses the game. In the game, Gukesh went king a4 instead of b4, and after check here, he could no longer make progress, and the players agreed to a draw.